Mark's left. On you go, Annie. You're ready when you're ready.
Fabulous. Right, let me make myself nice and big. Why can't I see myself? There we go. Well, so it's lovely to be back with you guys. Like I said, it's a lovely day at the park. So let's go back over here. So all of you guys have done a Zoom tour with me before, haven't you?
Yeah.
Oh, let's just come back over here. Let's just see where Mum's gone with that baby. So I think she's just gone off. So I'm glad we came over and had a quick look while she was right here, because she's I think that's one of the monkeys just over there is her. So one of them that's just slowly walking over is Cosmo, who I know you guys have definitely met before on some of our Zoom tours. But the smaller one, who's kind of just behind him, sat on the ground, Leroy, you'll have seen him as well, but he's grown quite a bit since the last time we did a Zoom tour. And so he's now a big brother to that baby that we saw briefly a minute ago. Here comes Cosmo. So we've actually got 2 babies have been in this group, in Lavar's family, since we last did one of our Zoom tours together. So we've got a little boy and a little girl. So it's the little boy who we saw briefly. You might just be able to hear my walkie-talkie going off there, guys. Yeah, it was the little boy, Levi. Hi, Fran, you can't stay long. That's fine. Don't worry. Nice to have you here.
Oh, hi.
Hi. So
how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Guess what?
What?
It's my birthday tomorrow.
Happy birthday for tomorrow. Are you doing anything good?
I got a meeting tomorrow afternoon with a lady called Rachel, on my gig buddy, and I'm going for a meal in the evening.
Lovely. Well, have a fabulous day. We will be thinking of you, enjoying your birthday celebrations.
Thank you. And most probably the monkeys as well.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know if we've got any monkeys with birthdays tomorrow.
Oh,
but
bless.
I'll find out. See if I can find out. We've got over 260 monkeys at the park. There are birthdays most days.
Oh, bless them.
And with a lot of them, so like Cosmo here, he was born at Monkey World, so we know exactly when his birthday was. So he turned 5 in February. I can't remember his birthday off the top of my head, but the ones that have been rescued, because we don't know exactly when they were born, what we tend to do is we use the anniversary of the day they arrived at Monkey World as their birthday. That's when we celebrate their birthdays. So Cosmo here, although he's become quite a big boy, he's only 5. So we've now got Leroy, who is, let's come on over here a second, guys. Sorry, excuse me. Thank you. So we've got Leroy, who is not even quite 2 yet, and his mum's just had another baby. So he's become a big brother. She's just hiding, kind of just out of sight. She's just, let me see if I can balance on the fence. I'm not going to be able to zoom in enough. So look, Cosmo's followed us down here. But just round the corner, we can't quite see them because where the trees and the bushes are, we've got one of our new babies, a little boy called Levi. So let me just come round to the house there, because we've had 2 babies born. So they're about, I think, around 2.5 months, the youngest one. And then the slightly older one is about kind of 2.5 to 3 months. It's only about 2 weeks between them. Right, so we're cleaning in here at the moment, so we won't be able to see them. But yes, we've had a little boy and a little girl born. The little boy is called Levi, and the little girl we've called Bonita, but I believe the keepers keep calling her Bonnie because it's a little bit of an easier name to say. Now, there are some of them just sat in the tunnel over there, so we might have the other baby in there, but we're going to struggle to see her. So tell you what, I'm going to come round here, and because I know Nicole is hoping that we might be able to catch up with TikTok, that little marmoset that we rescued a little while ago. So I'm just going to turn the camera to look at me while I'm walking around, because where the weather's getting nicer, it's warmer, we're having more visitors here at Monkey World. So I'm always a little bit careful that when I'm walking between the enclosures, I'm not just accidentally filming our visitors. But it's quite obvious that I'm on a Zoom tour, I think, when I'm walking around, because I've got my phone on this handle and my earplugs, my ear headphones plugged in. But let's have a little walk over to TikTok and just see. Now, of course, you guys know, because we've done a few different Zoom tours together, that we can't always guarantee if the animals are going to be around, because if they want to be inside, they'll just be inside, or if they want to be outside but hide, then it's entirely up to them. Being a rescue centre, it's really, really important to us that the animals don't feel like they always have to be on display, that they have a bit of control over where they go, when they come in, when they come outside. But fingers crossed, we might see TikTok, because Nicole is in the car watching us on the road. So let's see.
Are you going to Tamby today, Nicole?
Yeah, Fran.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so she's joining us from the road, which I love that she's still come and joined in, even though you're in the car, Nicole. Right,
Yeah.
let's come over here. So let me turn my camera back around. So over here at the domestic marmoset house, which is where TikTok lives. And I'm always rubbish at remembering which group are in which section. Because remember, they've got this side, this bit here, their indoor areas where they've got a couple of rooms, playrooms and bedrooms. And then they have their tunnels that come over the path where I'm stood, and they have an outside enclosure over here. So let's see if we can spot her. So let's just have a little look in the windows, see if we can see her. Who's that over there? Right, now this isn't TikTok, this is too big to be TikTok. But look, we've got one of the marmosets, one of the adults, just sat up in that tunnel. So remember, these guys are really, really small South American monkeys. So they're only about the size of a squirrel, maybe even smaller than a squirrel. They're maybe about 30 centimeters long. So about the size of one of those standard rulers that we all tend to have floating around somewhere in our house.
Yeah,
I think
the one they was for school.
That's it. Yeah, normally one floating around, still got your name written on it. Yeah, from when you had to take it into your classroom. So they are only very, very little. So that's why we have smaller enclosures for them. I remember a lot of them have been kept as pets, and that's where TikTok came from. TikTok, oh look, there's actually two there. One's just appeared behind the other one. So we've actually got two different types of marmoset here. I appreciate the picture might not be so good because I'm having to zoom in quite a bit. But this one here, who's in front, who's now just swapped, so he's behind, that is what we call a Jeffroy's marmoset.
Oh.
Whereas TikTok and this one here, they're common marmosets. A nice, easy way to tell them apart is the common marmosets have got those big white tufts. There we go, you can see them there over their ears. And they've got kind of dark hair, but quite a light little face. Whereas the Jeffroy's marmosets have got lots of black hair kind of over their ears, kind of tufts over their ears, and more light coloured hair and a light face. So we mostly have common marmosets here though. And just like TikTok, who we've talked about before, most of them have come to us from people keeping them as pets in this country. And as we all know, primates do not make good pets. They are wild animals. They're not tame. They're not domesticated like dogs and cats. And most of us, even with the best will in the world, we can't give a monkey what it needs living in our houses. Yeah, lots of us live in flats and don't have gardens, so couldn't go outside. Or maybe we just don't have the space to build something. Even if you do have a garden, you wouldn't have the space to build something big enough to keep a family of marmosets. And they really do need to live with, at the very least, one other marmoset, but they like to live in families. And so TikTok, who is hiding from me today because she must have known someone particularly wanted to see her and has decided to be cheeky. She's in here somewhere. So she was only very, very little. She was only a few months old when we rescued her. And she came over to Monkey World because someone had bought her as a pet. when she should still have been with her mum and dad rather than being kept by somebody in their house.
It might be an outside enclosure, all you know.
Yeah, that's it. So they do have, their inside enclosures. And I think she probably is in there at the moment, but this is as close as I can get. And I think the keepers are also cleaning in there at the moment. And sometimes they really like to sit and just watch, from one of the rooms, look into the other one as their keepers are giving everything a good scrub and a good clean. So she's obviously hiding from us today. Oh, look, there's someone just sat over here as well, just behind us. You might be able to see slightly more clearly.
Who's that one?
Do you know what, David? I have to. Here she is. There she is. So she's bigger than she was. She's just kind of hanging down, but you'll be able to see her in a minute when she moves, Nicole.
She's grown since.
She's grown quite a bit, hasn't she?
Yeah.
But she's still that little. There she is. Oh, I'm so pleased we've spotted her.
Yeah.
So she's still, she's still slightly smaller. I'm trying to get a better angle because she's right where all the trees are. Let me kind of get myself.
Well.
Hello.
There we go.
Do you feel?
Hey.
Oh,
There we go. Oh, I'm so pleased we spotted her, Nicole.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's good, it's good the Wi-Fi in the park seems to work a lot better now.
It is working better, isn't it? And the thing that we also find is when there's less people in the park, it works better because there's less people using it and less people kind of on the phone networks. It all tends to work that little bit smoother. Because, of course, the last few weeks we've had the Easter holidays, so it's been very, very busy at Monkey World. But it's been great. It's been really nice because ever since COVID, you see her she's just reaching down.
Yeah. Oh.
There she is. Ever since COVID, it's felt a lot like life hasn't been very normal at Monkey World still. And I think we're really at that point now where it's starting to happen. It's feeling nice and busy, and we've got lots of people in, lots of families visiting, lots of schools coming back, coming to enjoy seeing and learning about all of our monkeys, which is just great. So she just reached down, didn't she? And she's either grabbed, I'm not sure if she's picked one of the flowers or the leaves, or she's grabbed a bug. Look, some crows just flew past then and just startled her a little bit. But she's just reached down and grabbed something she can eat. It might be a bug, actually.
I think I'm gonna have to go because I've got a meeting in about 12 minutes. No, somebody coming over to see me in 12 minutes. So I'm gonna have to get some lunch down with before the meeting.
That's fine, Fran.
Sorry.
Sorted. Oh, it's been great to have you even for a little while, Fran. Thank you for joining in, and hope go and get yourself some lunch before these people turn up.
Oh, thank you.
Fabulous.
You're fabulous too.
Oh, thank you.
Take care.
Thanks, Fran. Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Okay, rest of you, right.
Bye. Bye, Nicole.
I've also got a couple of them just over here. Just kind of cute. They got one at the top and one at the bottom. They keep poking their heads out.
Bye, Sarah.
Bye, Fran.
Bye.
Okay, right, then let's have a little carry on, guys. Let's just see. Oh, we've got some of the chimps right over here. Let's come and see.
There must be some for people standing at the windows.
Yeah, that's it. But that's what I tend to look for it when there you go, here's Sammy. When you're walking around, you can often kind of see where the animals are going to be, because based on where people are standing. So this is Sammy. So Sammy is one of our male chimpanzees. He has actually been at Monkey World since the very first day the park opened. He was one of the very first chimps that we rescued in 1987. So he's quite an old boy these days. We think he's probably around 40 or so years old. So remember, one second, my camera's doing that thing where it doesn't want to zoom in and out for me and I have to fling it around.
Okay.
There we go. That's better. So earlier on I said we don't know exactly when everyone's birthdays are because they've been rescued as babies. They were born in the wild, but we're stolen from their natural habitats and families by hunters and poachers. So we don't know exactly when their birthdays are because they weren't born here. So with Sammy, we kind of take his birthday as the day he arrived at Monkey World, which I think is the 14th of July. So a few months off, but yeah, we think he's over 40 years old now.
On
we
you go,
actually-
Mark. So Mark's got his hand up. That's the reason why I was on.
I know.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah, if anyone's
I-
got questions, you can just ask me if you want, because I
I
have to
know.
just look at my screen.
it's
Yes,
Ali,
Mark.
We've got. On you go, Mark. Ask her a question.
I know. Does the monkeys have birthdays? They don't. Because they're monkeys. I'm talking to Anna from Monkey World.
Yeah, they do. So we like to celebrate their birthdays. So what we have to do, because we can't give them the same, we don't give them kind of birthday cake like we have, but we do kind of make often, you know, some treats for them, just with the right sort of food. So maybe lots of fruit and seeds and nuts. The keepers might actually try and like pack it all into kind of a cake shape.
Mhm.
And what we'll often do is kind of just put lots of fun things, lots of toys and things in the enclosure. We'll wrap up boxes, you know, with food and stuff inside it. So it's all part of their normal kind of meals often. Also, there's normally some extra treats in there as well.
That's a massive enclosure.
It's big, isn't it? So I've
Yes,
just
actually.
walked around from one side. And you
Oh,
get a
look
really
on.
nice view here of just what they have to run around in, to climb in.
So you've got a
'Cause-
question in the chat. Nicole's asking, what's her favourite fruit?
Oh, their favourite's a good question, Nicole. So their favourite fruits tend to be kind of, I suppose, the ones that they don't get quite so often, the really, really sweet ones. Things like melons and mangoes and pineapples. They really enjoy that sort of stuff. But because it's so sweet, and although fruit is good for us, there is still natural sugar in fruit, and we can't give them too much of it. So they get lots and lots of vegetables, but only kind of a little bit of fruit. They love things like the berries. Can you see that chimp just swinging around in the background there, guys? He's kind of gone behind the big bush there. And it was just grabbing onto the hoses and spinning round. Yeah, we tend to give donated lots of things like strawberries and raspberries, so they always really enjoy them. They would eat all of the sweet stuff all the time if they could, but of course we do have to look after their diet. And they also get lots of things like cucumber, celery. They get lots of leafy veg, things like cabbage and lettuce, because they would eat a lot of leaves in the wild. And as you can see from their enclosure here, it's a big climbing frame, but they don't have any actual trees in here. And I can't remember if I've told you this before, but it's because what chimps do is they make nests every single night to sleep in. And in the wild, to make those nests, they break branches off of trees and use them to kind of form like the edge, like the shape of a nest. And then they'd use kind of leaves and things, softer bits of material from around them, to make like a comfy mattress. So because these guys live in one place, live in one enclosure, they can't have trees because they break things off them too quickly, and basically they would kill all the trees. So that's why the chimps have these big climbing frames. But the smaller primates, like the woolly monkeys who don't do that, they can have the trees in their enclosures. But these climbing frames are really, really fun. We can make sure that there's lots of stuff for them to do. We can change it up for them regularly.
Is
Add
the
things
big-
on.
So here's a question. Is that the biggest enclosure in the park?
I think this is the biggest enclosure. Let me just turn my camera back around because I can just see Charlie through the fence. Where's he gone? There he is. Charlie, one of the chimps, just sat over there. Hi, buddy. Hi, good boy. Yeah, so I think you're right, Dave. I think this is the biggest one in the park. We've got 3 enclosures that are kind of a similar size. There's this one, which is our bachelor chimpanzees. So our group of all boys.
They're
All
quite
boy
quiet.
chimps.
They're normally making noises.
I know. I think sometimes it just depends what time you end up coming over and what's been going on. So everyone's quite chilled at the moment. It's a nice day. Everyone's probably feeling quite relaxed. But yeah, so this one, I think you're right. I think it is the biggest one. Though Hananias, which we've seen before on one of our other tours, which is a bit further up at the top of the park, it might be slightly bigger. but I think it's this one. Right, we're going to have a little wander. I'm going to come down the hill and we're going to go down. We're going to head towards the orangutans because I want to make sure we've got time to go and see those lemurs who you haven't seen yet. And I will stop off at the squirrel monkeys as well, because I know I normally have people who ask about the squirrel monkeys. So we'll see if they're around. Let's have a little walk down here and we'll say hello to some other chimps on the way as well. Because I can see some, I think it's Rodders is just over here in Brian's group. Let's
Brian's been a part of, I also has.
Yeah.
I remember Brian for the original Monkey World on pack.
Yeah, that's it. You've probably seen quite a few. Here we go. Quite a few of these guys.
Yeah, same
There you
as
go.
me, yeah.
So that's Brian.
Oh.
And then you've got Rodders a bit further away. Yeah, so that's it. So these guys, this group, it used to be our chimpanzee nursery, but as you can see, they're all grown up now. They're fully grown adult chimps now. So now Brian, who's over here, and I know you guys wanted to see some of them eating. What's Brian's actually got in his hand? He's got two things. Now, the thing that he's got kind of in his mouth at the moment is a plastic bottle that the keepers will have cleaned out and sterilised, and they've put some treats in there. So he's trying to get his tongue in there and try and kind of get all the goodness out. But the other thing he's just put it down is a homemade ice lolly. So because it's getting nice and warm now, and we like to make sure that the guys have plenty to drink. There we go. Can you see it? Yeah, just what Nicole just said in the chat about having watched Monkey Business on TV. There's a new series actually on, guys, on Pick of Monkey Life. I think it's series 14. So on Sundays, I think it's at 7:00, but it will be on. David, there's a banner on the email that I sent you that says kind of it started not this weekend, I think the weekend just gone, and it says what time those new episodes are on. So if you have Pick on Freeview, you can watch it on there, or if you have Sky or Now TV, you can watch us on Catch Up, so you can see what's been going on with the guys in the last year or so. But so Ash is up here as well. She's got, look, you can see the orange. So the guys, I know the Gibbons were given some of these ice lollies last week, and it was a bit of orange juice, and there's normally some bits of fruit frozen in there as well. So it's a bit like if you make kind of homemade ice lollies, the kind of stuff that you would make. And it's a nice treat for them. It takes them plenty of time to get through it. It keeps them cool if they get a little bit too hot. And it's just a nice treat. You've got one, haven't you, Brian? And he seems to have, I think, a few stones that are going in and out of his mouth as well. It might be a nut, but Brian does really like to have a stone and kind of almost a bit like we have chewing gum. Obviously, can't. No, it is a nut because he's just broken it apart. It definitely isn't a stone this time, but he will quite often just kind of carry a stone around in his mouth. He's having a good slurp on that one now.
So you've got a question in the chat.
Fabulous. Right, let's have a little look. I'll have a look at the chat now. Good timing. So Phil has asked, did Challenge Annika build something for Monkey World on the BBC? Yes, they did. And I'm right by it, actually, guys. So let me just come back up here slightly. It's actually these buildings just up here. This is what they built on Challenge Annika. So at the time, it was this big field, and they built these houses, what we call the pavilions, and you can see the entrance to one here, and it's the inside big playrooms where the chimps all come inside to play, where we've seen them before. And so then they built these big enclosures afterwards, the outside areas. They had to get the house built first. That red roof there, that's the newer part that we've built in the last few years. But so we had this, Challenge Annika. If you haven't seen it, was a program on TV in the 1990s where Annika Rice would go, and let me just turn my camera back to me again, would go all over the place, be given this challenge to go and help out somewhere. And so one of them was that she came here and helped Jim Cronin to get all the materials and things ready to build those pavilions. That's it. So Jim and Alison Cronin the people who started Monkey World. Jim unfortunately passed away in 2007, but his wife, Dr. Alison Cronin, is our director and has carried on running the park since Jim died. She's not here today, actually. Oh, Phil, you've watched it. Excellent. Alison's not here today, but she normally is. She's just out and about at the moment.
So
but yeah,
you've got
You would tell I'm the biggest fan of hers.
Somebody's asked in the chat, has the monkeys ever escaped?
Have the monkeys ever escaped? People always want to know if the monkeys have ever escaped. I'm just going to turn you around quickly, guys, because there's some woolly monkeys just coming over. We've got a tunnel that comes over the path here. It looks like they're just walking through the trees, but look, you can just see them. Yeah. So no, we have to work really hard to make sure that everyone's really safe in the park. And if a monkey was to ever escape, it would be down to human error. So it would be that someone hadn't locked a door, hadn't checked something was locked. So as far as I'm aware, no one's ever escaped. But we do have to be really, really careful. Now, I can't remember. David, can you remember when our last Zoom talk was?
Would have been February time of that? Or would have been
February. So was it before or after that big Storm Eunice? Can you remember?
I think it would have been just before it.
Just before. Okay, so I'm going to show you over here because it kind of follows on nicely from that question about whether or not they ever escape. So this is one of our capuchin enclosures. So we've got some of the much smaller monkeys. Got one just down here. You've got someone over here. But if I just zoom out, everything's grown a little bit because of course it's spring now. But here, can you see this is a tree that fell down in the storm? You can see there are bits that are broken, bits that have moved over. You might be able to see over there. Oh, hi, buddy. Hi, Caesar. I think you guys have met Caesar before. One of our capuchins who likes to come and say hi. But so when that was coming, the keepers had to get the monkeys to come inside nice and early that day. We tried to start, I think they started to get them in from about kind of 2 o'clock in the afternoon, because sometimes it can be a little bit tricky getting everyone to come in on time and come in quickly. And we wanted to make sure that everybody was inside before that storm came, because we knew trees might get knocked down in the wind. And in here, what happened was when some of these trees fell over, some of those fence panels over there, they actually got knocked down by the trees. But luckily, all the monkeys were inside. But if we'd let the monkeys go out that day, firstly, they could have got hurt if they were outside when trees were falling down. But also, they could have just walked straight out of the enclosure and into the forest. So it's things like that we have to really plan for. Have to be really careful that we're thinking ahead and making sure that no one is going to be.
The connections went.
Here you go.
Out of their enclosure. Gets a little bit dodgy. You tell me when I'm back.
You're back now.
Am I back? Excellent.
Just checked it. It was actually the 28th of February, the last one. So
28th of February. So yeah, that was before the storm, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just before the storm, I think. But a couple of days of that before it.
That's it. I've done a few Zoom things with school groups since I last saw you guys. And I know I'd shown some people the storm damage, but I couldn't remember if I'd shown you guys. Right, let's try and spot a squirrel monkey, as we always do. Play spot the squirrel. So we'll always just wait for a few minutes when I'm here, because they're not always very easy to see.
I'm surprised they don't love the cameras.
What cameras, like in the enclosures, you mean?
No, like your camera. I'm surprised they don't like to go over and see the camera to do their nosy. Like your phone.
It's funny, is it? Some of them we think don't like it when people kind of put their cameras and things up. Probably the ones who have been photographers' props before they came to Monkey World. But if you think about how much technology has changed since the 1980s and 1990s, what a camera was like then, and now that we will have these mobile phones that we can take our pictures on, whether or not they recognize them as kind of something that does the same job. What we know that some of them do is they don't necessarily understand what a photograph is, because they just don't really have the concept of it. But they know that when someone lifts their phone up, if they turn their back, they normally get a good reaction. Because if you're trying to take a photo of one of our monkeys and you put your phone up to take a photo and then they turn away and you go, oh no, they find it quite funny to kind of get that reaction from you. So I think sometimes they do know what they're doing when they're trying to wind people up. Right, the squirrel monkeys are hiding very well from us today. As I said, they might be inside. They're also really well camouflaged, the squirrel monkeys, because they're quite small and they're this kind of browny grey colour, but they've also got bright yellow hair on their arms and legs. And if you look at the different colours on all the leaves that are in this enclosure, although you don't think of yellow maybe being a good colour to camouflage against green, actually they do blend in really, really well. But there's another window around the corner. So what we'll do, we'll see some orangutans, and then on our way to see those lemurs, we'll try the squirrel monkeys over the other side. Right, let's come and say hello to some orangutans. Let's see who's out and about. Let's see if the kids are out of the nursery. Is anyone outside? Let's come on round. Let's try the window. Let's try their house. Before we try the house, I'll try the other window at the squirrel monkeys. Oh, there they are. There they are.
There's a monkey on Zoom at the moment.
There's a monkey on Zoom.
Me.
Let me scroll. Oh my God, that's terrifying. When you said you were a monkey now, I was like, oh, I'll have to have a look, because I bet there's a monkey there. That is absolutely terrifying, Phil. Right, let's try over here. So there's another window just over here. We'll just see. Like I said, they might be inside, but we'll just check just in case. But it's a really nice enclosure for them to hide, because even though they're only small monkeys, you would find them in kind of South American rainforest where there's loads and loads of trees, loads and loads of plants, loads of places to hide.
You can hear them, as in chimps you can hear.
So I say that again, David?
I'm sure I heard the chimps a second ago.
Oh yeah, so where we saw Brian and Rodders with their ice lollies, so I think it was probably them we could hear, because although I've walked quite a long way round, they're kind of only on the other side of a fence, but you just can't see them. So yeah, they've obviously decided to get a little bit noisy as soon as we've walked away. Right, the squirrel monkeys are going to hide from us. Let's come back this way and say hi to some orangutans. Now they're in a slightly awkward position. I think today's the day all the primates are deciding to be a bit awkward. Or let me just have a look at the chat, because I saw just something pop up. Nicole, you've seen for squirrel monkeys at Folly Farms. Is that close to where you live?
Yeah. It's West Wales.
Oh, okay, that's cool. I've never been to Folly Farm. I don't think I've heard of it either. So is it mostly farm animals there, or if they got quite a lot of wild animals?
Both, really.
Oh, cool. That's good. So we've got over here, this is O'Sheen. She's just stood up at the moment. I've kind of ended up down the hill a little bit from where the orangutans are. But remember, this is the orangutan nursery, and she's the foster mum who looks after the babies that have had to come to live here to learn how to be an orangutan. So these guys were very happy when the park was very busy last week. Oh, and there's Mimi's face just kind of poking over the top of the wall there as well. These guys tend to like it when it's nice and busy. They quite like to see lots of people coming in, and they do particularly find children quite interesting. So when it's the school holidays and you've got lots of kids in the park, they tend to be coming over and seeing everyone.
I've just found out another monkey place in Wales. There's a rescue centre for them.
Oh, that's cool.
Down by Neath Way.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Second, Nicole.
Yeah.
There you go, there's Shane. So you go, Nicole, maybe there's another place that maybe you might be able to go to look at some primates that are a bit closer to home.
There's also a forest in the UK. It's got a certain type of monkeys.
Yes, I
Right
can see you
there.
just put it in the chat, David Trenton. So I think a couple of our keepers have worked there before they got jobs at Monkey World. So yeah, it's a place where I think it's macaques. It's a type of macaque that we don't have here, and they're kind of like free roaming around. So yeah, you can kind of, I think you have to be very careful. They've probably got lots of rules about kind of how close you can get to them, and you mustn't try to touch them and things because you might startle them a bit, and they've got big teeth. But yeah, apparently it's really cool. You can walk around the forest and you've just got all of these macaques kind of running around near you as well. Right, bear with me 1 second. My screen might just go black, but I am still here. There we go. Right, let's go and see if we can find these lemurs. I was just checking I've given us enough time. I haven't got my watch on as usual. So I just had to look on my phone screen. But in case they're not there, I've made sure we've got enough time that I could wait for a little while because I really want you guys to see them because we haven't seen them yet. So once we just get around the corner, I'm going to turn my camera around again. So let's come around here and you can see it's quite obvious that this window here is new because you can see the woods are much lighter and brighter. It hasn't been out in the elements for as long. So I'm hoping my signal sticks with me. I can see there's lemurs there as well. Excellent. Because we don't normally come over this way. So let's check everything is okay. I can see lemurs. Okay. And we've got some lemurs.
Oh,
Okay.
oh,
Aren't they really cool?
Yeah.
So normally when people come to Monkey World, people love the lemurs. I think it's maybe something about the way they look. They look really different to any of the other primates that we have here at the park. So we've got a few here. We've got two here, one over there, and there's another one just there. Look, you see, just stood up on 2 feet as well.
oh.
So I think it's 8 we have living in here. So we've got half of the group over here at the moment. Now, most of them were born either at Monkey World many years ago or came to us from zoos around the world where maybe they just ended up with a few too many and they just needed to kind of move them around. And we've just had a hello from someone. Hello, Victoria. Glad you're with us. You're seeing our lemurs. We haven't been able to see the lemurs on any of our other Zoom tours that Monkey World has done for Innovate Trust. So I'm very excited we can show you the lemurs today. So they've got obviously
I know in Blair Drummond in Scotland, they've actually got a lemur enclosure you can walk through.
Well, that's exactly what this enclosure used to be, David. So we used to have people could walk through it. But because of COVID and because these guys, although they don't look like it, they're actually related to us. And because that means that any of the illnesses that we get, they can get. So we've been a bit worried about letting people come in just in case, anyone had COVID and they sneezed and touched the fence and then one of the lemurs got on it. But now, although they look like very cute, cuddly animals, lemurs can actually be quite vicious if they want to. So where they haven't had people other than their keepers going in for so long, we can't just open them back up and let people in because they're a little bit wild, these guys. So what we've done, we've put this viewing window in, and maybe hopefully at some point we might be able to let people walk in around them again. But what's really interesting for them is because this window didn't used to be here, the keepers have put some new bits and pieces over this way for them. They're starting to feed them over here a bit more, so they can actually enjoy getting used to seeing visitors again, and visitors can get used to seeing them. Now, I am rubbish at telling the lemurs apart. However, this is Renton. And the reason I can tell who Renton is because, can you see when he kind of turns his head and he looks towards us, he's actually missing one of his ears. And he looks like he's got like kind of this big belly, because Renton, I think years ago, he ended up being the dominant lemur, the dominant male lemur. It's actually the girls who tend to be are in charge with the lemurs, but there's still kind of a boy who is more in charge of the other boys than others. And he basically he put on lots of weight because he used his power to be able to get first dibs on all the food, and ate too much. And now he's lost lots of weight, and he's just got his tummy kind of is a bit saggy now, where he's lost lots of weight, but his skin hasn't all kind of snapped back, which is what happens with people too sometimes when they lose lots of weight. There he goes.
So who's the oldest lemur in the...
So the oldest lemur in here, that's a really good question, David. I'm not 100% sure. So it might be Renton there, actually, because I'm trying to think. We've got other boys in here like Indiana, who were born here, and I don't think Renton was. I think he's a bit older. So yeah, I think he is an out. We used to have another lemur called George, who died during one of the lockdowns, I think, or around that sort of time, who was so old. We think he was the oldest lemur, certainly in the UK, if not possibly in captivity. He was in his late 30s, and they normally live till they're only about 25 or so. So his name was George, and he had a very, very long life. When he got a bit too old to keep up with these guys, we moved him to go and live with actually a completely different type of primate, a Patus monkey, who was also very old, and they could have this really kind of chilled, quiet life, because these guys, like I said, they've got quite a lot of energy. They can be a bit naughty sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And
Is that near the lemur enclosure?
Sorry, say that again. Is what near the lemur enclosure?
Is the Patus monkey near it?
So the other Patus monkey that George lived with also died. However, we do have 2 more Patus monkeys. I will try and show them to you in a minute, because we are quite close to them, and finish up there. But sometimes the signal just gets a little bit dodgy, but we'll give it a go, because they are really cool.
To the
if you
Wi-Fi.
can see them. Yeah, that's it. So, well, I'll just tell you a little bit more about the lemurs, and then we'll go and see if we can see those Patus monkeys and finish up there. Now, everyone's favourite thing about the lemurs are their stripy tails. But if I zoom out, because I'm zoomed in at the moment, you can still kind of just about make out those tails, even though they're quite far away. And that is exactly what they're for. So these guys live on an African island called Madagascar, and there's lots of kind of long grass and things there. So if there's lots of lemurs walking around on the ground like they are now, and they can't see each other, what they do is they stand up on 2 feet, and what they'll be able to see is those stripy tails kind of bobbing along above the grass. So it's a really good way for them to spot each other, even if they kind of can't see each other's faces. They can normally see those tails sticking up off the ground, and then realise that they need to maybe change direction to go and keep up with all their friends. Right, let's give those Patus monkeys a go. I'm going to turn my camera around to face me while we walk. Really pleased we've got to see the lemurs today, guys. So let's see some Patus monkeys as well. So I'll go down there. So yeah, it might get a little bit, signal might get a little bit weak, particularly as we kind of go between places, because there's hot spots, in the different houses. So the areas where it gets a little bit open, sometimes it just drops a little bit. Let's come on down. So the Patus monkeys.
It sounds quite big in the park, despite you're saying it looks quite quiet. You can hear the people in the background.
Yeah, it's the time of year, although we're out of the school holidays and it's not as busy, we start to get more and more people come in during the weeks as well, because people start to take their time off work and things to have their holidays, particularly people maybe who don't have children, who want to go out and about, enjoy nice weather before things get really busy during school holidays. So tell me if you can't hear me and the connection goes. But so Nicole, you might know about the zoo that our Patus monkeys came from, because it is a Welsh zoo that they came from, a place called Borth Zoo. It ended up in the news quite a bit over the last few years. They had a few problems. They had a few animals escaping.
We've not heard of that. Not heard of that zoo.
So it was they had a lynx, one of those big cats, actually escaped a few years ago and was around the town and around the kind of forest and countryside. And it ended up having to be shot because it was so dangerous and they couldn't catch it, unfortunately. But they had a few problems, and some people took over the zoo and wanted to try and make things better for the zoo and for the animals. But it ended up where they had to change things and operate a bit more like a farm park rather than a zoo. And so their monkeys have come to us. Now, I can't see them at the moment, so we'll wait a minute. Excuse me. I always forget to bring a bottle of water with me when I do Zoom tours. And particularly, I'm still wearing a mask around the park. So I end up kind of after about an hour talking, my throat starts to get tickly.
Yeah, that's West.
But
I've just double checking it. It's West Wales it's on.
West Wales, okay, because I have to admit, guys, my knowledge of where things are in Wales is really bad. We have a couple of Welsh members of staff here, and I always have to admit I don't know where they're talking about when they tell me about things in Wales.
So Nicole's actually Anna the Richardson Zoo.
Oh, right,
That's
yeah.
West
So
Wales as
yeah,
well.
North to, yeah, because that's it. Yeah, so that's not the one that these guys came from. But yes, I'd forgotten about her having a zoo there.
And she's done a rebirth there.
Yeah, I'd forgotten all about that. Hopefully, we'll just give it another couple of minutes, guys, and we'll just see if the Patus monkeys come out, because they're really cool. If you do get to see them, so we have two.
Yes, like was breaking up.
Male and female. The male and the female was called Penelope. So is it still breaking up now? Do I still sound a bit dodgy?
Sounds better now.
Sounds better. Okay. Yeah, it always just thank you, Nicole. Yeah, it always just gets a little bit bad down here. And so if I just show you, kind of see it all gets a bit open down here. We've got some more capuchins here, and then over here, this is like a big field, and this is where we've got a bit of space if we want to build anything more in the future. It's not loads and loads of room, but if we do need to build like another big enclosure, we could do over here. And we have down here, these are rows of fruit trees. So the blossoms started to come on them. So it's crab apple trees, there's apple trees. And so in a couple of months' time, we can start picking the fruit that grows on them and give them to the animals.
That'll be good. Then it saves you the hassle to exporting it and
That's it. And so it'd be nice if we could do more of it. But of course, the space that we have and the land that we have, there's so many monkeys on it, there's not that much room to grow stuff. But there are some things that we can grow here. And yeah, at least over the kind of spring and summer months, we have the apple trees, there's pear trees, there's plum trees. And in kind of autumn time, just around here as well, we've also got a space where we have a pumpkin patch, and we do here we go, here he is, or she is. This is Penelope. Can you see her? Hopefully the signal is going to stay with me, guys, because she's just come out. So this is our female. This is Penelope, just sat on the branch. And so Patus monkeys are an African monkey, and when they're running on the ground, they are actually the fastest monkey in the world. She's just hidden out of sight. So they can actually get up to about 35 miles an hour when they're running. And if you picture the African savannah, yeah, the place where you'd find lions and things. Camera's just doing that funny thing. Yeah, if you think about like the Lion King and what the habitat looks like there, and you think you've got lots of big cats like cheetahs, particularly leopards, lions, who are very, very fast predators. There's not loads and loads of trees. So if there's monkeys on the ground, they need to be quick to stay safe. So that's why you've got Patas monkeys being the fastest monkeys on land. Okay, right, I'm just going to turn myself around because we are going to have to finish up just there. Let me just turn it around so I'm not just looking at myself. Oh, there we go. There you are again. I can see you all again. And Phil has turned back into a human, which is very nice. Phil, have you got like rugrats on your jumper? Yeah, it's wicked. I like that. That's really cool. I'm very jealous. Excellent. Well, David, thank you so much for booking us in again to have another Zoom tour with you guys. It's so lovely that more and more kind of feel like I'm getting to know you guys as well as you guys getting to know me and our primates at the park as well. So thank you so much.
You're a superstar, you are.
Oh,
Cheers, superstar.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
you are so welcome, guys. I hope it's nice and sunny where you guys are as well. Nicole, I hope your journey to Tenby is over soon. I hope you haven't got too much longer to go. And yeah, have a lovely day. And hopefully I will see you guys again, perhaps in another few months' time.
Probably about with that. You might give us to stubborn a man person.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it. You guys have got to keep pestering to get that trip to Monkey World organised.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I've already bugged them, but I've told them that I would even fly down to Southampton.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, it's not too far from Southampton. You're not far at all. You're only about an hour and a half, maybe. Probably only about an hour or so, really. So
I'm probably get the tunes.
yeah, I've got everything crossed that I will see you guys in person. If not, hopefully I will see you on Zoom again soon.
Monkey World in the world.
Yes, we're the only Monkey World in the world. So yeah.
Best in the world you are.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Right, enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Lovely to see you all
Thank
again.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.